so after, you know, we check out the school, we weren't really there for that long. I don't think I met anybody that first day, and I actually didn't meet my other co-teacher, Miss Bay, until like maybe a week later. So after that, Sunny told me that she goes to church every day, and I was like, you are so my mom. But I understood that as, you know, she's about to take me home, but she ends up pushing her church plans back a little bit, and she was like, you know what, I want to treat you to dinner. She was like, what do you want to eat? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I couldn't pick. I wasn't really sure like what's around, and I didn't want to like burden her by actually saying something, so I just said, you know, you can pick like whatever you think is fine. So we went to the small shop and we had so much food. We had tteokbokki, which is like spicy rice cake. We had cheese ramen, and we had kimbap. They were all very good. I liked it. So we did that, and it set the tone for the future of our relationship, I think, because we would find ourselves eating out many times. She normally doesn't eat out that often, but because of me, she like does so many different things with her life now. She's like watched a Korean drama. I told her about Full House, and she was like, what is Full House? And I was like, you've never heard of Full House? Not the American TV show. I'm talking about a very popular Korean drama that's like pretty old now, but it has Rain. B is the other name that he goes by, but B in Korean means rain. He was like the lead star next to the female, but actually I don't remember her name, but she's also very popular as well. I told her that that was the very first Korean drama me and my sister and my mom have ever seen. We were just completely hooked by it. I think it was maybe like a month later, she was like, oh, let's watch the drama. And I was like, you're gonna watch a drama? She told me that she doesn't even watch TV. So I was like, you're really sure you wanna do that? And we watched the first episode and she was instantly hooked. She ended up watching like the whole series in 3 days or something like that. So by like episode 12 or something, she was like, it's your fault. You make me watch and now I can't stop. And I was like, actually there was a Snapchat of us watching it after school hours inside the classroom. She listened very carefully to a lot of the things that I said when I would talk about myself early on in our meeting each other. She knew that I love Spam. She knew I loved movies, I loved popcorn, and so she wanted to go see a movie with me. I was like, okay, let's go see Intern, which is The Intern, and that was the very first movie I saw in Korea, and it was a good experience. It was interesting seeing an American movie with Korean subtitles. I found myself trying to read the subtitles and see if I can like pick out words that I understand, but it was very difficult. But yeah, I've seen a couple of movies here in Korea, but I definitely don't go as often as I do in the States. Now back in the States, like every Friday I would go see like 2 movies in the morning because it's very cheap if you go to Regal, and I love the theater. Jumbo, large popcorn, like dripping of butter. Yeah, so our relationship, you know, it's very good and we're very close to each other. I'm really glad that I do have 2 co-teachers that I work well together with, and we have a mutual respect for each other. Knowing that this video was coming up, we went back for the first time to the same restaurant that we went to on my first day here, and it was very sweet and very nice, and it made me realize, okay, the shop isn't like the best, because I definitely have places that are better, but it's a nice, humble, small shop that has many different things on the item. Wow, that has many different items on the menu. We actually ordered the same thing. The only thing we didn't order was tteokbokki. We avoided the tteokbokki because it was spicy, and I didn't know that Sunny actually doesn't like spicy things. I was like, what? I was like, all these years I've known you now, all these months that I've known her, I never noticed that she didn't like spicy things, so that was kind of surprising to me. We even sat in the same place. We tried to recreate what it was like that first day. During that time, I did ask her, you know, what were your first impressions of me? And she had the same reaction that a couple of parents of my students have had. Sunny basically just said that when she first saw me, she could tell that I was a genuine, nice guy, and I was smiling a lot, and I was laughing at her jokes, and I was like, oh, did I? I was like, I don't even remember what you said. She was like, no, but I knew you had a very nice personality. And then I asked her, I was like, could you tell that I was half Korean before I told you? And she was like, no. And she was like, but after you told me, I can see. And I was like, okay. And then I asked her, there's a pool of EPIK people that I was sitting with. Were you surprised when you saw me and saw that I was black? She was like, I've had many past to EPIK teachers, so I had no expectations. She's had like EPIK teachers from like all over the world, so what I got from what she said, her biggest criteria was a decent teacher and a Christian. So she told me that she has had many EPIK teachers, but I am her favorite. And I was like, oh, which is really sweet. I do feel like we feel the exact same way about each other. Like me describing her as my host mother, and she's often described our relationship like the one she has with her nephew. It feels like family. And actually today she told me, oftentimes I'm not closer. She says closer, but she means close. I'm not closer to just men in general. But you're different. And I was like, oh. You know, it's funny because I've heard this so many times in my life, and I for myself know that it's very true. She was like, sometimes I think, oh, is Gabriel a family? Or is Gabriel, is he a man? It prompted me to share a story of one of my friends actually. When I was back in college, she and I would talk all the time. Even to this day, we're still very close. We were walking down the hallway, but she had to go to the restroom. It's just a typical restroom, women on the right and, you know, men, you go in on the left. I don't know if it was a serious conversation or not, but we were definitely talking, and I stopped, obviously, because I'm not about to walk into the women's restroom. But she like kept walking and she was still talking to me, and then she was like, she started laughing. And I was like, what are you laughing about? She was like, for a second I was thinking like, why aren't you following me? And then I realized, oh yeah, he's not a girl. It's honestly not just them. Like I feel very much the same way. Like throughout my whole life, I've always been more comfortable with girls, and I think that I relate a lot to girls. It's more difficult for me to relate to guys, but I just thought it was kind of funny that Sunny described it in those terms. Even in foreign lands, women still say the same thing about me. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to know that people feel comfortable around me and that they can be themselves. And I feel the same way. Like, you know, my quirkiness, my silliness, it's nice to have that comfortability in the workplace, also in our personal lives. So we're definitely like more ridiculous out in the real world, but it's nice to know that in school we can be silly and you know, we get each other. So yeah, it was really nice to go back to where it sort of all started at the restaurant. Our first time sitting down together and just being comfortable with each other, having little conversations that slowly brought us closer and closer. So yeah, so that's the story of how I met my co-teacher Sunny. So next week, as promised, you guys will finally see my apartment tour. It's good. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Definitely be sure to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Zuff678. Be yourself, love yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye. My stomach just growled again. My first or second week at the school, Sunny had like shared with the students that we had gone out to dinner, and the students had like this glistening in their eyes, like, oh, they're friends and they hang out after school. Like they had like this really like, that's so cool kind of look. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like,